Good morning. I hope all of you have enjoyed these past few days of glorious weather as much as I have. I'm beginning to notice that some of the red buds are blooming, and I'm seeing other signs of life. Just like these signs of spring, God wants you to bloom and bear good fruit. To do this means you must let God into your lives, not just here on Sunday morning, but every day. That means living in a relationship with God. Think about the relationships you have. You talk with the other person, you listen, share, care, you're open and honest. You spend time with them. Take thoughts of them with you wherever you go. That is what your relationship with God should be like as well. Are there distractions along the way? You bet. The Apostle Paul would have called them idols. Mine was the busyness of life. You see, when I was in college, and for a few years afterwards, my relationship with God was at its lowest point. I was too busy to think about God. I was going to school, and after college, I married and began a new life with Dan. But at that time, God wasn't a significant part of my life. Until at some point, God got my attention, and I had this sudden urge to go to church. It was at church that it dawned on me, I needed to change. I needed God in my life once again, and I absolutely needed God's help and guidance to return to living in a relationship so I could follow God's will for my life. What I came to realize was living in relationship with God gave me a deeper purpose for living in the world. I felt grounded and filled at the same time. There are plenty of things that can pull us away from a relationship with God in our world today. We are bombarded to purchase the new, the shiny, the latest, the greatest, whatever. We're also urged to buy this product or that product because it's going to make us feel like we're 18 again. I don't think so. Or you could be like me, so busy with life that having God at its center gets out of whack. Again, the Apostle Paul would have called those things idols. Anything that distracts us or pulls us away from cultivating our relationship with God and living with Him at the center of our lives. In Paul's letter today, we heard the exhortation to a new group of Christians living in Corinth. Now you have to understand, Corinth had been started by the Greeks and then had been taken over by the Romans. There were a multitude of gods and goddesses that were celebrated and prayed over. So these new Christians and anybody else could have been invited to a block party for Aphrodite. She was the goddess of love and sex. That party would have been like the free love movement of the 1960s here. No wonder Paul was concerned. He was telling them, though, and us, not to become distracted by that way of life, although the pull to do so would be great. His message told all of us to learn from the mistakes of those who came before us. He gave the example of the Hebrews, who continually screwed up, even though God was with them on their journey through the desert. If any of you have older brothers and sisters, as I do, you can relate to learning from the mistakes of others. But Paul makes it clear, we are going to make mistakes. The good news is, God will be with us and will help us through them. In our gospel reading today, Jesus was asked the question about whose fault it was that these bad things happened to good people. You just heard that the Romans had killed a group of Galileans in the temple. Jesus had to be very careful in his response because the Romans were in control, and he didn't want to incite any action against them. So he kind of sidestepped the question and posed them another question. He pointed to those who were killed when a tower had fallen. And he said, were they to blame? His point was that those who had died were no better and no worse than those who were asking him the questions. You see, it was widely believed in the first century that if you were born blind or if you had an accident, you had sinned. It was your fault, or the fault of your parents, or the fault of somebody else in your family. And Jesus was telling them and us, no. Bad things happen to good people. Accidents happen. We live in mortal bodies. They will decay. We will die. So rather than look for someone to blame, he tells them and us, look inside yourself and decide what you need to change about yourself so that you can be closer in relationship to God. He tells us we are all sinners, and if God was in the business of killing sinners, all of us would be dead. We have a tendency to judge others, don't we? Have you ever thought about those people that panhandle on the feeders and on the main thoroughfares, main intersections? Have you ever caught yourself wondering, if I give them this money, what are they going to do with it? Are they going to buy food for their family, or are they going to use it for something else? That's a judgment. What about those who are homeless? Have you ever wondered, what did they do to end up on the streets? So we are told, instead of judging others, to look inside ourselves and look at what we need to change. Embrace the things that bring you closer to God. Prayer, studying Scripture, caring for others, demonstrating compassion. These are the things that are going to bring you into a closer relationship with God. Jesus also gave us the example of the barren fig tree. He wanted us to recognize ourselves in that tree. We've been given life. We've been given community. And yet, what good fruit are we bringing into the world? How are we making life better for others? How has the world benefited from our being alive? God is asking us to look and examine our lives, look closely at what separates us from God, change those things, and grow in a closer relationship with God. We're called to look at our community, not just the community of Good Shepherd, but the larger, wider community, and ask the question, how are we as community making life better for others? Each of us is to bear good fruit in the world, but it's also important to realize you can't do this work alone. It's not possible for you to be the Lone Ranger. You need God in your life to ground you, to support you, teach you, along with community. We are each called to show compassion, love, and care for others. It might take the form of listening to someone who is hurting or in need. It might be driving someone who can no longer drive. It may mean getting your hands dirty by helping to build a home for someone who could not afford one on their own. It could also be as simple as volunteering in the community or here at church. This is good fruit. We are called today to live in a deeper relationship with God, to let God inside of you, to nourish your heart, to fertilize your mind, and to help you bear good fruit in the world. Will this be easy? No. because there are distractions. The idols are many and the pull is strong. But together, we can support one another, hold each other accountable. What are you going to do to change and become a bearer of good fruit? Amen.